Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, have you ever struggled with grief? Have you ever lost somebody and don't know what to do? We're going to be talking today about how to overcome grief, how to deal with grief, and how to come out the other side of grief with my brother David. He's a podcast host. He's a speaker. He's the Swiss Army knife of positivity. I'm so grateful for David to come on the show. My brother, welcome to the show.
Hey, brother, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here with you today.
I love it. So, first question right out of the gate: what is your definition of resiliency?
My definition would be is when you get knocked down, are you going to get back up? And my answer to that is always yes. Do you remember the song or the group back in the day? I think it came out in the late '90s. I Get Knocked Down by Chumpawampa.
Yep.
And that was always my favorite song back in those days. And I remember the time when I first got knocked back down, and I had the choice to either crawl into a corner and let my family deal with the situation that was happening, or am I going to get back up? And that was when my resilience was tested for the first time, and that's when I got back up. And no matter how many times you get knocked down, you have the strength within yourself to be able to get back up. And
All right.
that's
So, you know, we're going to be talking about how to get back up, and we're going to be talking about resiliency. So, give us a quick down and dirty. Where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up? And how did you become the master of overcoming grief?
Yeah, I live in Denver, Colorado. So I live about an hour and a half south of Denver. I live in the Castle Rock area, and my first experience with grief started back on April 19th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. when I got the phone call that my brother passed away, and he was a 14-time Ironman finisher, and um, he was only 39 years old, and I didn't believe it when I got the phone call from my sister-in-law, and that crushed me when he passed away. And after everything, when I got the phone call and getting confirmation from Boulder PD, that was my first experience with it. And having to step up and be the man in the family, that was the moment when was my first, I would say, major experience with grief.
All right, now, but let's talk about it because a lot of people that listen to my show are military or prior military, and
Right.
a lot of us have lost somebody, and we deal with survivor's guilt. Did was that something that you struggled with?
Absolutely. And I still struggle with it to this day. There are moments where I'll have a dream that feels like it's real, that he's still with me to this day. There are times that I'll be sitting in my recliner and I don't want to go do anything. And what pushes me to continue to do what I do with my mission on honoring my brother's legacy, that because that's where my business is founded on, is to one, take it one step at a time and continue to honor his legacy, but it's to stop looking in the rear view mirror and get unstuck and honor him by remembering the times and the good memories and being with those who are family within my life that remember Joe's memory, and to continue to push forward and have the resilience within myself to continue to build the mission on serving those who have lost a loved one or who have been in situations that have impacted their lives.
Now, the weird thing is you were the one with the heart issue, right?
Yes, sir.
And how did that affect your psyche, knowing you were the one with the heart issue, but he's the one that died because of the
It,
little?
Oh, dude. It still angers to me. It still angers me to this day like no other, man. Every time I have to go to the cardiologist to get checked, I have to go every 6 months. to get an EKG done and talk to the cardiologist. It angers me to the point where I still don't understand it, and it's still a work in progress. But when he passed away from it, I stopped going to church, and I didn't go to church for a little over a year. And I could not grasp or understand why God would take a 14-time Ironman finisher and a man with such passion and resilience to be able to change his body and compete in a race like that, and who would drop everything for anybody in his life, right? And to go help them. It really messed me up because even in my early 20s, I had to have heart procedures to slow my heart rate down because I was having atrial fibrillation. And he was always there by my side. And then he had this one heart condition, and that was it. And I would have these nightmares where when he passed away in the bathroom at his work, I was so angry that two strangers from his work got to be there with him in his final moments and that I couldn't be there with him. And I would have these nightmares where his eyes would be wide open and he would be terrified. And I wish that I could trade spots with him because I was a heart patient, not him. And it's still something that I struggle with on a daily basis.
Now, did he, after the autopsy, did they find out that he had a pre-existing condition?
It was a pre-existing condition because it was a genetic disorder that we found out later after that was all said and done. It came from a side of one of our family members, and it's something that I have to be followed for, and the other person in my family. And we have to go get CT scans every 2 years to make sure that the aortic wall doesn't show any signs of softening or weakening. So it's something that I have to live with on a daily basis as well. And also that other person in my family as well.
So I'm sure that you suggest anybody that's listening to us to make sure they go get their physicals, make sure they get checked out, make sure that they're always making sure that their ticker is okay.
Absolutely, 100%. Once he passed away, I made my health a priority in my life because I have a godson who just turned 16 this year. My cousin has 3 beautiful kids, and at that time I was about 290 pounds, and I decided to shift my perspective on eating and stuff like that, and I lost 85 pounds and shifted everything and began to get healthier. So I highly, highly encourage everybody who watches your show, don't ignore the signs. If your heart is starting to act funny or anything, go to the doctor. That was something that my brother, before everything happened, he was hanging out with my folks over here at my parents' house, and he started talking funny and acting funny. And he made an appointment at the cardiologist, and they couldn't see, or his primary care doctor, and they couldn't see what was going on. And unfortunately, they didn't catch it, and he's gone now. But make your appointment if you're not feeling right. Go and check it out.
All right. So now let's talk about, because once somebody passes away, there's a bunch of different stages that people go through, whether it's anger, anxiety, depression, elation, because a lot of people realize, hey, I'm grateful that they were in my life. I had them in my life. So talk about the stages of grief that you've learned about since your brother passed.
Yeah. For me, it was at first, as I mentioned earlier, it was anger. And I was stuck in that anger trap for nearly 9 months. And once I was able to work on myself and starting the process, then I was able to find some sense of peace for the 35 years that I had with him. And that took some time to find that. And I hit the emotion of loneliness, because it was just the two of us. He was the older brother, and we did everything together. We were Disney fanatics. We loved going to Disney, even into our mid to late 30s, and we took our wives with us. And when he passed away, I didn't really have a lot of people in my life. And then I reached out to communities just like yourself, Richard, and Michael Faber over at the Unleash You Now family. And I've been a part of that since 2020, and that's been a godsend. And that loneliness, there are still times I still feel it, but uniting with the family. One of the other ones was the anxiety. Will this happen to me? Will, do I have a purpose in life? And then getting to manage on the anxiety and the depression, and finding strategies and tools that work for me, which I have found to be able to bring the anxiety and the depression and missing my brother and working on that and going beyond that. Those were the top three for me, that it took time for me to find and be able to work through it, but it was a beautiful thing once I was able to find the family. That it doesn't always have to be about blood. You can choose the family that you want, and getting out of that anger and getting happy and reconnecting with the passions in my life and getting control on the anxiety.
That's something that you brought up was community.
Mhm.
If I didn't have like people like Michael Faber, Faber in my life, if I didn't have Jim Burgoon in my life, um, I I would feel lonely sometimes because I did lose some people, and I unfortunately I've had to cut out some people in my life, because from a negative perspective. So talk to us again, a little bit deeper about how important community is.
Community is one of the most vital things, in my opinion, that all of us need. If we are going to isolate ourselves and stay at home and watch Fox News, watch movies, and complain about what's going on around in the world, and not be around people that we know deep down in our hearts and in our souls that we love, and that love us and want to be around us and want to support us, that is one of the worst things that we can do in life. Our minds will start playing tricks on us, and we'll start tearing families apart. And it's one of the most traumatic things that can ever happen, because we're not built to live a life by ourselves. And when communities are built like what you have built with your YouTube channel and everything that you have built, Richard, or Michael has built with the Unleash You Now family, and what I have built within my own community, when we can bring people into our communities and support them and love them when they don't feel like they have family of their own, and where they don't feel like they have to be by themselves, and they have a voice to be able to open up and share what they are going through. It's one of the most freeing emotions and activities that they can do, because like I just said, we're not built to live life by ourselves.
But sometimes, like I tell my friends, I would rather hear your bullshit than your eulogy. So
Mhm.
sometimes I think we just need to be heard. Sometimes we don't
Yep.
need you don't need to give me an answer. You don't need to help me. All you need to do is sometimes just listen.
Yep.
And I think God gives us two ears and one mouth for a reason, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. So
That's
how important is it just to sometimes just be vulnerable and say, I know I can reach out to you, Jim, Mike, and say, bro, I'm having a bad day. I need somebody to talk to. How important is that?
that is, once again, like I just said, it's one of the most vital things that we can do as brothers. There are so many times that I've reached out to Jim, that I've reached out to Michael, and now having you in my inner circle, Richard, is one of the greatest things that God's given me, because I have a very small inner circle. But when we can reach out and say, hey, bro, I am struggling so much today, I need to just vent. And being able to do that and feeling safe and knowing that it's not going to come back and bite me in the ass, it's beautiful. It's when we have that trust and that brotherhood, it's amazing. And that's something I highly, highly encourage. I've been bit in the butt before where I thought I could trust somebody. And 2 weeks after I did that, he went over to this dinner that I invited him to. And he told one guy that I thought I could trust with everything. And now that guy is no longer a part of my life or part of my organization. And, the guy showed me his true colors, and it's a good thing that he's no longer a part of what I'm building here over at MBM. But when you can share your heart with brothers and know that they always have your back, and that's Jim Burgoon, that's you, Richard, and that's Michael Faber.
Yeah.
I have never seen two men like Jim and Michael that will go to battle for their people.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
And I think, I tell everybody, in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend.
Yep.
Like, I've been in recovery 36 years now. I know about anonymity, where if you tell me something, it does not go any further from my lips. You told me something in confidence, it ain't going anywhere.
Right.
And I think once you have a relationship built like that, that's when you can really open up and say, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with this. I might be struggling with some suicidal ideations, but you know that, hey, I trust this guy or girl. That's when you can really open up and be you. You know what I mean?
I do. 18 years ago, Richard, I did that. And my bro, Austin, who is my VP in my business, I just brought him on back in March. He is the reason why I am still here today. He and God. I attempted to take my own life back in 2007 because I hit rock bottom. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. That's why it is important to have 2 or 3, maybe more. I don't know. I try to keep it small because not everybody needs to know your business.
Yeah.
But Austin has always been the one person back in those days and still today that I could say, hey, this is what's going on. And the struggle is real. And he goes, okay, I'm there. When my brother died, I didn't even have to say anything. He was in his car and he drove 10 hours down from Iowa. His wife was 8.5 months pregnant with their first son. And he spent a week with me. That's what true friends do. Michael Faber flew down last year to Florida when I had to cancel an event because the numbers didn't meet up. Michael Faber and Dr. Rob McClellan flew down to spend my birthday with me. And I spent a week with Michael and Javier Santana. That's what true friends do. When they knew I was not happy with having to do that. So that's why it's important to have those friends and brothers.
And I think there's a difference. People really need to know the difference. There's a difference between followers and friends.
Yep.
Like for me, I know if I can call on you, I can call on Mike, I can call on Jim, I can call on Joe Graham, Eric Allen, Kumar. I know I can say, listen, bro, I'm in a financial jam. I need your credit card number. I know you guys would be like, all right, here you go. Here's the pin, because we take care of each other. We trust one another, but we also are vulnerable to one another. And I think that's what builds that bond, is that vulnerability.
I agree.
So now you also talked about hitting on a mission, because in the military, once we get out of the military, most of us don't have a mission. And I find that a lot of people either look at the bottom of the bottle or the end of a barrel if they don't have a mission in life. So how did you find your mission after your brother's passing, and how important is it finding a mission in life?
It first, I remember Austin and I were sitting in my living room, and we just picked up the urn from the funeral home, and Austin and I were listening to some music out in the living room of my house, and we were just talking. And another friend and his wife came over, and we were just sitting around. My wife was there talking, and I started thinking, is like, am I really living the life that I want to live? And I started to realize that I was living the life that others were expecting me to live. Um, and because from a very young age, I was told, or I was conditioned or programmed, as people call it, that because of the medical issues that I had from a very young age and the learning disability, that I was going to have to be taken care of for the rest of my life. And the one major thing I learned from my brother was nobody could tell you what to do except for yourself. And I decided in that moment, when everybody was talking and telling stories about my brother and laughing, and I was in my heart, I said, from that moment on, after losing him, I wanted to do something that would be honoring to Joe, and that I could potentially impact the world. And that's when New Beginnings became a reality. And it was just New Beginnings at the time, not motivation at the end. And I knew I wanted to add something at the end. And that's where New Beginnings motivation was created, in that moment of pain. And that's when I decided that I wanted to take the pain of losing my brother and turn it into a positive fuel source, because I didn't want to fall off the side of the world and just go completely quiet. I didn't want people to lose sight of me. And so that's when I decided to start small and start building. And then in 2020, that's when I met Michael Faber, and we started building our relationship and our brothership and our friendship. And then he started teaching me everything about it. And that's when I decided to as of this year, we were going to serve those who are still struggling after the loss of a loved one. And we've been building and creating, and that's when everything became just, it exploded to the point where now that this is where we're going with the publication of my book, the summits that we have been running ever since February. And it's just been one thing after another, and it's been a beautiful thing. And when I did that, instead of going to binge eating as I used to do in the past when traumatic things happened, I decided I wanted to do a positive thing for myself, because I knew if Joe was alive, or if he could come back down from heaven, he would kick me in the ass, going, "What the hell are you doing, Dave? I don't want you to ruin your life because I'm no longer here. I may not be here physically, but I'm still in your heart." And I said, okay. I'm not saying, Rich, that I did everything perfect. I messed up along the last 7.5 years since his death. But if it wasn't for the community, like we talked about a few minutes ago, when I messed up, I reached out to Michael, Jim, and Austin and said, "Guys, this is what I did. I need you to help me, keep me accountable." And then I would think about, is this what Joe would want me to do? So if anybody's hearing this, if you're looking at the bottle, or if you're looking at the end of a barrel, it's not worth it. Your life is so incredibly beautiful, and your story needs to be heard, and your life was put on this earth for a reason. That I want to highly encourage you to reach out to me or reach out to Rich to get the help that you need, because your mission in your life, even though you may not think you have a mission anymore, you still have a mission that needs to be heard, because God did not put us on this earth just for one circumstance. He put us on this earth for so much more that we can build off of that.
So now this is a teaching podcast. So what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for somebody that's just had a loss in their life?
First one is, let's get unstuck. And how do we get unstuck? We stop looking in the past. We can take the past as a learning opportunity and we can reflect on that, but we don't want to stay stuck in the past, because it's easy to be able to stay stuck in the past because we're afraid of the future, but we're not built as humans to stay, in neutral. Let's stop cheating on our future with our past, and let's get moving forward again. Let's embrace change with open arms. And that's how we get moving forward again. Okay. And how we do that is when we get moving forward again, as I call it, because I live here in Colorado and I've been here for 30 years in September, I align everything with a mountain. And when you prepare to enter a base camp, as you're preparing to climb a mountain, and I love that you guys served in our military, and I should have said this sooner. Thank you all for your service and protecting our country. We're truly grateful for each and every one of you. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. When you're getting ready to climb a mountain, you're going to enter this base camp, right? You're going to want to get your crampons. You're going to pack your backpack with food, extra rope, your tent, warm clothes. But when you enter the base camp, you're going to meet other fellow climbers and you're going to start connecting with them. And you're going to want to make sure they know what you're going to do. But most importantly, you're going to meet your guide. If you meet a guide that is wearing a Tommy Bahama shirt and shorts and sandals, and he's going to climb that way up in the mountain, do you think you're going to want to follow that guide? Or are you going to want to follow the guide that has the hiking boots, the jackets, the extra crampons, the extra ropes, and actually knows how to climb the mountain, where you can build trust, where you can connect to? When it gets hard, you can lean on, where you can trust. This is where the trust factor comes into play. This is where you can start moving forward again. And when you start rising above the base camp, that's where you can begin to move forward. And that's where the healing process can begin. And when you see that, that's when you can begin to reclaim your life. Maybe there's a part of your life that you didn't realize went dormant at the loss of that loved one that you absolutely love to do. And you bring it back with your fellow mountaineers and your guide. And it brings so much joy back in your life. And you're starting to feel that joy and you're starting to see the light coming over the peak of the mountain. What do you think you do after that? You start celebrating your small wins. Yep. You're reclaiming your life. And as you keep ascending the side of the mountain, it's not a fast journey. Think about when you were racing an Ironman or making a Thanksgiving dinner, right? It's not a quick prep time. It takes time to build. It's the same thing when you're climbing the side of the mountain. But when you're reclaiming a certain part, you also want to reinvent yourself as well, and intertwining that old part of yourself with the new part. But when you start reclaiming yourself and reinventing yourself, that's when you start seeing the snow at the top of the peak. That's when you start seeing the summit. And you start feeling the excitement in your heart. It doesn't mean that you're leaving your loved ones behind that have left us. Remember what I said earlier. They're still in your heart. They're still with you. You're taking them everywhere that you're going. And then when you're climbing that side of the mountain, the urge to want to pick up that bottle starts slipping away and you're leaving that behind and you don't want to grab it. You want to start reaching for something that's more exciting by going out and climbing the mountain with friends. And you have that purpose and that fire within your heart and soul that you want to bring more people on your climb towards the summit because you want to leave that firearm behind, that barrel. And when life gets difficult as you're climbing the side of the mountain, instead of going back to the bottle and the barrel, you want to be with your fellow mountaineers and your guide and say, hey guys, I don't know, I feel like old habits are coming back. And then we all come around and we all circle around you at the campsite as we're hunkering down for the night. And we talk about it. We lean into each other and we support you and we love you. And that's the way that we can all continue to climb and support and love each other.
You know, and I love what you're talking about, but it also brings me back to an old Bible quote. You can't put new wine into an old wineskin. And that in order to move forward, you have to be able to reimagine and reinvent yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's so important to realize. I know where I've come from, but I'm not where I'm going. You know, even like Wayne Gretzky, if you guys are hockey fans, he says, "I go where the puck is. I don't go where the puck was."
Yeah.
So I think it's important that at a certain point, if we want to change our lives, we have to reimagine and reinvent ourselves, and it might take time. It's going to take some time. You know, even in recovery, they talk about time takes time. But I think in order to climb that mountain, you have to fly to the place that has the mountain.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have to take that first or second step to get to the bottom of the mountain before you get to the top of the mountain.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up that sports analogy because back when Peyton Manning was the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, and we had the highest scoring offense, I think it was in 2013 when we went to the Super Bowl and got our butts kicked by the Seattle Seahawks. And the following year, the offense came back and we couldn't put up the same numbers in 2014. You never know what the destination is. Sometimes you just can't recreate what you had the year before. And that's where you just got to keep going. And I'm glad you brought that analogy up because I am a huge, what do you call it? Sports fan. So I appreciate that.
So now you have something special coming up the week of July 20th. I'm grateful to be a part of it. So talk about what's coming up that week.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I'm excited for this. This is going to be our fourth virtual summit. And I call it the Mountain Summit Virtual. Like I said, I do everything involving the mountain. And our theme for this event is Beyond the Goodbye, Honoring the Legacy. We want to encourage everybody to come to this because I am inviting over 20 incredible men and women who are going to be sharing stories from their lives about opening up and having the courage about how they had the ability to overcome the loss of their loved one and how they're honoring their loved ones and to be able to inspire everybody on Facebook and to be able to create that legacy for their loved ones that are still with them today. We are offering a VIP package offer with this. It's very, very low cost. But the reason why I wanted to do this is there are so many virtual events out there. There are so many in-person events, but they're charging thousands of dollars for this, right, Rich? And my intention with this is not to charge thousands of dollars because our world right now is in chaos and our world is engulfed in fear. And I wanted to pull something together with amazing hearts and souls where you can come together and be a family and be loved and be family. And I wanted to offer this out to your community. And I'm so incredibly excited that you're going to be a part of this and sharing your mission and honor the legacy of those that have left us, but also to honor the legacy and create that legacy for those who are still with us.
Yeah. So then how do we get in touch with you? How do we get into your ecosystem?
So if you look up, and we'll have to put this in the chat and everything, and I can send this to you because my last name is not the easiest to spell, but you can contact me through DM David Vrablik, and you can look me up on Facebook. I am rolling out the first speaker today for the event. So you can contact through me that way. You can also contact me through my VP, Austin Cunliffe. And I'll be sending Richard all of the contacts, the easiest way to get in touch with us. And we'll be excited, be honored and excited to have you be a part of this. I do want to just let everybody know, if the VIP package offer, it's $25. And that'll get you access into our Zoom room where you get to engage with all the speakers and all the VIP members. And plus you'll get the recording for the entire summit.
That's awesome, brother. And that I normally end that way, but when I have a friend on that we have mutual friends, I'm a big wrestling fan, and I grew up a wrestling fan. I've always been a wrestling fan, and I love when the wrestlers always shoot on the other wrestlers. So I got to ask you, your opinion and give us your thoughts on your brother, Austin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Austin. Oh my gosh, this guy is 6'2". I love this guy. He's a hoot. I remember the first time I tried to wrestle him back in 2007, and back in those days I was a pretty tough guy, and I tried to take him on. The next thing I know, he flung me into the snow, and I learned my lesson very quickly that I could not take Austin on, and he's just a good man. And although sometimes we get in disagreements on certain sports teams, the only sports team that we agree on are the Denver Broncos. But I do have to give some crap over to Michael Faber. I did love the fact that we crushed the Carolina Panthers last year during the NFL season. And he still doesn't like it that I give him crap about the fact that we destroyed the Panthers in the Super Bowl 15 years ago. So it was a lot of fun.
All right. So then tell us a little bit about Michael Faber.
Michael Faber, oh my gosh, this guy is, if you guys do not know Michael Faber, you need to get to know this guy. He's one of the biggest hearts that I have ever met. He runs Unleash You Now. He's got so many events that he puts on throughout the year. My favorite event that this guy puts on is the men's retreat. But he, like I said, he runs the Unleash You Now group, and they do multiple events throughout the year. They did the Movement Maker Live back in March this year, which was life-changing. They've got multiple events throughout the year. And if you want to get in touch with him and want to grow your businesses and get them to where you want to go, that's what Michael does. He is the genius about getting your business to the level that you want to get to. And that's what Michael is all about. So if you want any information, you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect you with him. And he's a beautiful human being.
And Jim Burgoon, last but not least.
Jim Burgoon is another beautiful human being. Jim has a podcast just like Mr. Kaufman here. He's a AI genius as well. He's a strong Christian entrepreneur. And Jim is building his community as well. So I highly encourage you guys to subscribe to Jim's YouTube channel. I hope that's okay, Richard, that I said that.
Yep. And his podcast is called Lead with Jim. Definitely make sure you subscribe, like him, and get in touch with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I may, Richard, MBM has a YouTube channel as well, Journey Forward with MBM. I'll send that over to you, Richard. We just launched this about 2 weeks ago, which Richard was our fourth in the lineup to subscribe to the subscription, even before we met in person or virtually. So that just tells you the heart of Richard Kaufman. So I can't thank you enough for that. But I highly encourage you guys to reach out to Jim, Michael, and myself, because what I can do for you guys is help you in so many ways with the struggling with losing a loved one. Keep following Richard. He's got one of the biggest hearts that I know, and I'm truly grateful for that. And if you guys want to join us for the Mountain Summit Virtual, I would be truly honored for you guys to join us. It's all about legacy. It's all about growth. It's all about family. And we love you guys. And anything you need from me, I'm only a message away.
I love it. So, guys, as I end every show, I'm a big Joel Osteen guy. Every morning I wake up, as I'm working out, I listen to him. And something he says all the time is, every morning you wake up, you have a choice. You can be a victim or you can be a victor. And if you listen to this show, you're no longer victims of your past, but you're victors of your present and your future. So, guys, thank you for always showing up. Thank you, guys, for always being there for me, even when I'm having hard days. I love you guys. And remember, if you are a veteran, we have our own Facebook group called Veterans Supporting Veterans. We're 15,000 strong veterans there to help each other out. So if you're a veteran, make sure you join our Veterans Supporting Veterans group. David, my brother, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I'm so grateful for your friendship, and hopefully we can build a generational relationship from this point forward.
I'm excited, man. Thank you so much for your time, and everybody, the time is now to rise. So let's keep climbing.
I love you, brother, and I will see you on the week of the 20th.
I'm excited for it, bro. We're so excited to have you.